Akari.
Hey! What the heck?
Akari.
Oh, the title call. This video is...
Warner Brothers is for commentary purposes. Please understand and thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe.
It's time for Animaniacs, and we're zany to the max. So just sit back and relax, you'll laugh till you collapse. We're Animaniacs. Come join the Warner Brothers
And the Warner sister Dot.
just for fun. We run around the Warner movie lot. They lock us in the tower whenever we get caught, but we break loose and never lose, and now you know the plot. We're Animaniacs. Dot has wit and Yakko yaks. Wacko packs away the snacks. Our careers have made comebacks. We're Animaniacs. Meets Pinky and the Brain who wants to rule the universe. A brand new cast who tested well in focus group research. Gender balanced, pronoun neutral, and ethically diverse. The trolls will say we're so passe, but we did meta first. We're Animaniacs. You should see our new contracts. We're zany to the max, they're baloney in our slacks. We're Animani, totally insane. Must keep brainy. Animaniacs, those are the facts.
I'll reintroduce myself. I am Xiaomei. I am the narrator of the story you're hearing. Welcome back to our review series of the October Halloween specials. In this video, we'll be reviewing Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain, which are episodes 29, 30, 62, and 86 of the 1993 series, episode 11 of the 2020 series, and episode 42. Now then, let's...
Get this party started!
Ah, spoiler alert!
Before we begin, let's go over the segments for episode 30. Good idea, dressing up as a pirate for Halloween. Bad idea, dressing up as a piñata for Halloween. In hot, bothered and bedeviled, the Warners end up in the fiery realm of Hades, where they torment Satan. In For Moon Over Minerva, Minerva Mink walks into the woods, attracting many male animals along the way, and finds a spot to write in her diary on her progress of finding her special someone. She writes that it's very unfair not to find someone to share a life his tender moments with. And then a nerdy wolf named Wilford B. Wolf appears and tries to win the heart of Minerva Mink, but fails with every attempt he makes. Later that night, Wilford howls with sorrow over his failure to attract Minerva, until the full moon comes out and transforms into a hunky werewolf, attracting many female animals. Annoyed by Wilford's howling, Minerva eventually decides to put a stop to it, only to witness Wilford's manly form, and she begins to fall head over heels in love with him. Minerva just heads back to change into a red dress and the clouds cover up the moon, reducing Wilford back to his nerdy form behind Minerva's back. When she returns, she shows off her red dress and notices that Wilford's changed back to his nerdy form. Minerva tries to find out what happened to Wilford's manly form by searching for him, only to realize he's nowhere in sight, making her feel all alone. When the clouds move away to reveal the moon once more, Minerva sighs what a life to herself when she sees Wilford's turn back into a hunk, satisfying her. Wilford using the same attractive pickup lines Minerva used on him earlier. It makes her all excited, and all the while the clouds move throughout the night, with Wilford slipping back and forth between nerdy and manly forms. However, by sunrise, Wilford's back to his old nerdy form. Wanting an explanation what's going on, Minerva asks what kind of wolf Wilford is. Wilford says he's a werewolf, which makes Minerva curious as to when the next full moon is so they can schedule a date for when Wilford is in his hunky form. To Wilfred's calculations, a full moon comes around every 28 days. The episode then ends with Minerva saying, "Some things are worth waiting for." And for Skullhead Bony Hands, in a parody of the movie Edward Scissorhands, Mr. Skullhead is taken in by an average-looking family to stay with them.
We forgot to mention the episode before the one Hannon stated. This one, Dracula, the Warners head towards their ancestral home of Pennsylvania, since their parents are pencils. Unbeknownst to the three of them, they've actually arrived in Transylvania. They decide to take shelter in the dark and foreboding castle instead of more sensible options during the night. When Wacko hits the bell with his head, the front door opens and a vampire man exits a car driven by a skeleton. So he asks who they were, while the most mischievous steals his watch pocket. Then the Count lets them pass, but they close the door on his face. When they enter the place, the Count becomes angry at them because the Warners mistake Dracula for an Amish farmer. Luckily, Yakko has seen Witness twice. The Count transforms into a vampire, but also Wacko, using his hands, flies in the air and with a baseball bat he hits him, making him fall to the ground. When he gets up, very dizzy, he takes them to their rooms. Count Dracula shows them the place where Dot was going to rest, but it is completely full of horrible things like snakes, creatures under the bed, skulls, spiderwebs, monster statues, and campfires with the face of a creature. Soon, Dot goes to bed already asleep, but suddenly Dracula is about to stick his fangs to remove blood, but Yakko then appears and asks him if he was going to bite her. So Dracula is thinking, for when he is about to do it, she hits with his hands, and later using a brush and toothpaste, and she brushes his teeth. He tries again when Dot goes back to sleep, but Wacko arrives at the dentist and removes all of his teeth. And Dot wakes up and puts them on her hair, and asks if she looks like Sheena Easton. A slumber party breaks out, and the humiliated vampire finds himself in a nightgown and covered in makeup. He flees to the safety of his coffin, fearing he'll suffocate. So, the Warners cut it open with a chainsaw, and he tells them that their lives have ended. Yakko agrees, since by now the sun has come up, which he reveals by opening a boarded-up window. As Dracula grows weaker, the Warners refuse to leave him alone, blowing a bugle in his ear and shoving an alarm clock into his head, and Dracula explodes in anger, which succeeds in destroying his entire castle. The Warners escape with their lives, and finally figure out that they never ever made it to Pennsylvania to start. They try again, but this time they end up in Tasmania, where a hungry Wacko scares away the Tasmanian devil. But, however, they have to find a new map, unfortunately.
Jim Cummings was in this episode. Thank you very much. And either way, let's get back to business. Dr. Frankenstein, an evil mad scientist, has intentions to destroy the village off the coast from her castle with her creation, a monstrous dog named Scout. When Frankenstein finally gets Scout on his way to the village, his circuits get damaged by lightning before he has left the castle, which leads to Frankenstein in search of a dog brain. The solution comes shortly after. Rita and Runt are wandering in a night storm. They have been thrown out of another home due to Runt causing an accident. They wait at the doorstep of Frankenstein's castle. Runt is sucked up into the castle, while Rita locked out, and she finds a way in and gets the idea that Runt is in trouble. She makes it up to the laboratory to see Runt strapped to a table and about to have his head shaved open. So Frankenstein notices a cat. Using the table, Rita manages to slam the scientist into an instrument panel which electrocutes her. Rita and Runt are chased through the castle by Frankenstein's pet rat, Mr. Squeak. The chase leads to a balcony, and with no option, the two strays jump into the safe. Dr. Frankenstein and Mr. Squeak are very pissed with Scout, and most of all they break Scout's toy ball to prove a point, which leads to Scout attacking them. On shore, Runt wants to jump off the castle again, leading Rita to remark that Frankenstein couldn't have wanted him for his brain. For Randy Beeman, Colin holds a live frog and talks about Randy Beeman's encounter with Dracula. For good idea, going trick-or-treating on Halloween, and bad idea, going trick-or-treating on St. Patrick's Day. For Scare Slappy, Happy Slappy,
Slappy and Skippy, the latter of whom, dressed as Buster Bunny, go trick-or-treating at the homes of Slappy's arch-nemesis, Walter Wolf, Sid the Squid, and Beanie the brain-dead Bison. And Colin plays with a yo-yo and talks of Randy Beeman's mom's best friend getting a tan. So Rita and Runt find themselves in Salem, Massachusetts during the Salem witch trials, where Rita is accused of being a witch. And also, Colin tells a rather scary story about Randy Beeman hearing a scratching noise in his sleep. Dot, Hello Nurse, and Slappy act out the witch's scene from Macbeth, while Yakko translates the incantation. What they conjure up is rather scarily foreign lay-in.
In a blatant attempt to win a humanitarian award, the Warners star in this parody of the very special episodes, bringing more educational content to the show. However, when they lose the award, they return to being their zany selves and disregard the morals that they had just preached. Mindy chases a frog into a graveyard full of zombies. Buttons, of course, pursues her into the graveyard and battles the undead in order to protect her. And after drinking a milkshake in one go, Wacko gets the bad case of the hiccups, so his siblings look all around the world to help cure him. A little girl named Kelly Sue, who is sleeping with her family, wakes up to find the TV on with static. The Warners pop out as ghosts and wreak havoc around the home, waking up the family. When Wacko sees a stuffed clown, he and his siblings go back into the TV. However, it turns out that the family's cat used the TV to suck them back inside. But the little girl turns the TV back on as the water tower appears in her eyes, saying, "They're back." While the Warners are out trick-or-treating, they arrive in a house with a candy bowl. The sign reads, "Take one, please," which Yakko and Dot obey, while Wacko takes a whole huge clump of candy. The candy rolls out of Wacko's hands and falls into the sewer. When running to it, Wacko then notices that there are eyes in the sewer. A mysterious figure asks Wacko if he wants his candy back, so Wacko hesitates, despite the insistence of the figure. So the figure reveals himself to be a clown. Wacko is extremely initially scared due to his fear of clowns, but abandons it as he thinks the clown is a cutie. And the clown introduces himself as Nico Wise, the dancing clown. The Warners are rather enthusiastic that he's a dancer and think he's regular John Travolta. Nico Wise explains that he feeds on fear while scaring a little kid as Robin, dressed as Robin. The Warners drive Nico Wise insane and he screams like a banshee. Ralph then appears saying they shouldn't be out alone in what they're doing. Dot replies saying that they're talking to their sewer friend Nico Pie the dancing guy. 3 balloons then come out of the sewer, each shaped to attract the Warners. Yakko wonders if Nico Wise turned into the balloons. Dot follows her pink balloon into an old bathroom, calling for Nico Wise. After the lights flicker, the reflection in her mirror turns into an old lady and Dot screams like a banshee. The reflection turns to Nico Wise and he asks Dot if she likes what she sees, however, how she won't be cute anymore as she once did. Dot asks Nico Wise to go back to the old lady, and as for her reflection, she would want to adopt some cats. Old Dot agrees while Nico Wise leaves the bathroom dazed and gets the kid's fear out of himself. Wacko enters and follows a hot dog-shaped balloon into an empty stage and finds a huge table of food. Wacko starts to eat the food while the voice of Nico Wise tells him to eat. Wacko discovers that all the food is rubber, not that this is stopping him. Nico Wise's face pops out as a turkey evilly. But Wacko just eats Nico Wise. So he escapes from Wacko's mouth and gets out more children's beer. Nico Wise runs out of the warehouse to meet his final victim, Yakko. He follows the blue balloon to an office where everything is silent. Yakko makes multiple jokes, but nobody responds. This scars him, but rejoices when the balloon pops and Nico Wise appears. Yakko tries to make a joke, but Nico Wise is a statue, not caring at all. Yakko gets very scared, fearing no one finds him funny. Then Nico Wise starts to suck out Yakko's fear. Yakko isn't that weak, he just knows the plot, until he starts to grow really large. Wacko and Dot arrive and stop Nico Wise. Yakko is happy to see his siblings and asks if he's funny. The other two siblings agree, and they lift up Yakko's spirits. He asks where Dot and Flacco were. They respond what they each saw. The Warners then dance around happily, driving Nikolai's insane, and he started to puke out children's fears and runs away while getting smaller. He is unable to reach the elevator button. The Warners try to help Nikolai's, but instead runs out the window and back into the sewer, giving back the kid dressed up as Robin's fears. The Warners follow him, asking him if they'll be their friend. So Nikolai denies and goes into a paper boat and into the sewer pipe. The Warners only find his clothes and wonder if he's really gone, and they think he really is a John Travolta. While Nikolai comes into a vapor rabbit, where Ralph is hiding from Halloween, and thus, you can tell that Ralph actually screams like a banshee at that.
In a parody of Frankenstein, Brain fashions a monster to frighten a village into submission, but the monster named Drusilla and Pinky fall in love. Brain then decides to create another monster to use him to take over the village. While Pinky is preparing for the wedding, Brain works hard on the monster. At the wedding, where everyone sees Drusilla's true self, they chase after Pinky and his bride, while Brain finishes his new monster, who is brought to life, scaring away the angry mob. This results in Pinky losing out on Drusilla, as she wants the new monster instead. After comforting Pinky, Brain says they must prepare for the next night, or they will once more try to take over the entire village.
Only a loser would give away a valuable prize like that.
No offense, by the way. Anyway, for A Pinky and the Brain Halloween, after a disastrous failure in an attempt to brainwash all the children in Halloween, an extremely frustrated Brain mentions having to sell his own soul to take over the world, unwittingly summoning a supernatural proprietary of wayward souls named Mr. Itch. While Brain resists his desire to be helped by the devil, Pinky sells his own soul so that Brain can take over the world. With all humans as well as arch enemy turned Jester Snowball at his disposal, Brain has to decide whether to rescue Pinky from Hades or enjoy dictatorship.
Did you know that?
This is going to be the longest Did You Know That in history. The opening song is a parody of Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy by the Andrews Sisters. The Warners song is a parody of California Here I Come, which is unusual since the song is published by the Warner Music Library. Ron Perlman reprises his role as Satan or Mr. Scratch from the Tiny Toons Adventure special Night Glory segment Daniel Wetfoot. Wacko gets a snowball and see it melt. Afterwards he says, "They were right. It didn't have a chance." This is a play on the old phrase of snowball's chance in hell. A clip of Yakko saying, "Come on, do an impression," is used in the opening of Rob Paulsen's podcast Talking Toons. The short was close to being banned because of its depiction of hell and the devil. Clips from this segment would be later used in a promo for the Dutch dub of Nickelodeon. The hippie singing the whiny protest song is a caricature of the legendary singer-songwriter Bob Dylan. While the Warners siblings go boating, "Row, row, row your boat" can be heard. And the Warners take a wrong turn looking for Six Flags over Flushing. This is a joke, as Six Flags does not have a location in Flushing, Queens. Although famously, Flushing was the location in the 1964-65 New York World's Fair. When Yakko asks someone for help while he, Wacko, and Dot are cornered by Satan's minions, the camera pans to Bones, was a caricature of the real Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, based on the late actor DeForest Kelley from the original Star Trek series. And this was actually the second Minerva cartoon, thus making it the last and final Minerva-made cartoon. In the original version, Minerva's cleavage was a little too revealing in her close-up shots, so the animators painted out the cleavage line in their close-ups. However, if you look real close on the DVD, you can see where her cleavage was painted out. Like Minerva, Wilford's manly wolf form seems to attract all the other female animals. The frog dancing is a parody of Michigan Michigan J. Frogs, Hello My Baby Dance from the Chuck Jones cartoon One Froggy Evening. After Wilfred attempts to serenade Minerva, Minerva yells Hit the Road Jack, possibly being a reference to the Ray Charles song of the same name. The musical piece featured at the beginning is a remix of Claude Debussy's Arabesque No. 1. And the first and only standalone Mr. Skullhead segment opens and closes with the Warners singing the Mr. Skullhead theme song, and originally sung by Elmira Duff in Take Elmira Please episode of Tiny Toon Adventures. The title is a parody of either the line Valdere Valdera from the song The Happy Wanderer or the Italian song Funiculi Funicula. In the end, the Warners end up in Tasmania and meet the Tasmanian Devil. The Tasmania theme music can be heard in the background during his appearance. In the beginning, the Warriors burrow to Transylvania while Yakko looks at the map and says, I know we're not rabbits. And it's a Warner Brothers tradition. This is a reference to the way Bugs Bunny has traveled. He would always end up somewhere other than his destination because he took a wrong turn to Albuquerque. Dot's full name, Princess Angelina Contessa Luigia Francesca Fernanda Bobesca III, is revealed in this episode. This was John T. McCann's first script for Animaniacs. It led to his being hired to the show as a series writer. The fourth wall is broken in this episode when Yakko says to the viewer, We're not that stupid, we know the plot. When Dot introduces herself, you can hear Mindy's theme in the background. And when Dracula introduces herself, Yakko asks, Didn't you used to teach math on Sesame Street, Miss Sticking in for Count Von Count from the hit public broadcasting service HBO series Sesame Street because Count Von Count is actually 9,000 BC years old. The voice of Count Dracula is Dan Castellaneta, who is well known for voicing Homer Simpson on The Simpsons, Grandpa Phil from Hey Arnold, Earthworm Jim from the show of the same name, the Robot Devil from Futurama, and Hulk Jimmy from The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Yakko mentions Batman, and when Wacko hits Dracula with a baseball bat, the baseball bat has a face and bat wings. According to the writers, this was the only way this violent gag could get past the standards and practices.
Not a big surprise.
The Rita and Run short, Frank and Run, along with Les Miserables and Home on Denial, were the only episodes of Rita and Run animated at Tokyo Movie Shinsha Limited. The voice of Dr. Frankenstein is modeled after Madeline Kahn's impression of Marlene Dietrich. She is voiced by series creator Tom Ruggers' ex-wife, Adrienne Alexander. One of the tombs says, Here lies a pooch with a brain so small it wasn't used at all. This rhyming epitaph was most likely a reference similar to the one seen at the Haunted Mansion in Disney parks. The Warner's cameo is floor waxes when Dr. Frankenstein notices how slippery the floors were. The scene in Taming of the Screwy where Yakko, Wacko, and Dot dance on the table during the etiquette song replaces the Bill Clinton scene. The Bill Clinton line is still used, however. In the streaming version of Hulu, the Bill Clinton scene plays properly. In Season 2, the intro used in this episode became the main intro for Season 2. And as for Scare Happy Slappy, Tweety makes a cameo, and Slappy remarks that the shot of Walter's house looks like the opening credits to Scooby-Doo. Hazel the Witch from Looney Tunes makes a cameo, and this is the final Rita and Run cartoon. After this, Run would make small cameos, sometimes speaking, while Rita would mostly remain silent with the exception of Gunga Dot. They wouldn't have another major role until Wacko's Wish, so long as Salem Mass parodies the Beauty and the Beast theme song. And finally, the various ingredients are portrayed by some of the cast of Animaniacs and other characters. Newt as Eye of Newt, Michigan J. Frog as Toe of Frog, Batman as Will of Bat, Buttons as a Tongue of Dog, and Walter Wolf as Tooth of Wolf. Yakko singing Digging in a Dark is a Gas, Baby Can You Dig It is a reference to a lyricized version of Grazing on the Grass, originally released as an instrumental by Hugh Masekela, later released with the lyrics by Friends of Distinction. Yakko quotes Bippity Boppity Boo, which are the magic words
used by the title character's fairy godmother in the 1950 Disney film Cinderella, which actually saved the Disney animation industry. This is the third and final sketch where the Warners interpret the works of Shakespeare. This episode spoofs very special episodes, television episodes that deal with social issues that can be seen as difficult or controversial. Pinky and the Brain would later do a special show of its own, Inherit the Wheeze, which showed the dangers of smoking and advocated against animal testing and lab research. Ironically, Kids WB selected footage from this episode to advertise Captain Planet and Planeteers, the exact kind of eco-friendly show this cartoon was satirizing in a musical promo. Com's animation for this cartoon is notably higher quality than the other Warner segments. Yakko mentions getting a ride with actor and environmentalist Ed Begley Jr., one of the many ways to help the environment. Ed Begley Jr. would later go on to guest star in the Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain episode, My Fair Brainy, despite the Warner Brothers staff's huge argument. And this is the only Buttons and Mindy cartoon where Buttons does not get scolded at the end. When Buttons breaks the emergency glass, he becomes Michael Jackson, leading the zombies in a parody of the Thriller video. Michigan J. Frog from the Looney Tunes short One Froggy Evening and mascot of the WB network appears at the end. Buttons and Mindy's frightened reaction is most likely a pot shot to the network. At one point, Mindy even quotes a network slogan, "It's the frog, baby." Zombified versions of the Warners and Ralph appear doing a running gag when the zombies follows Buttons into the house. Dot's pet makes a reappearance in this cartoon. Toby the soda shop attendant whistles Pinky and the Brain's theme as he mixes the Warner's milkshakes. In a parody of a scene from A Clockwork Orange, Yakko and Dot drip water in Rocco's open eyes as he watches an unpleasant display, a Bob Hope comedy routine. The scene with the flying saucer and alien robot is a parody of The Day the Earth Stood Still. This segment is a parody of the 1982 film Poltergeist. The theme song is slightly modified in this Halloween-themed variant of the theme. There's a unique transition from the Phantomaniacs to this theme song where the camera zooms in from the girl's eyes to the water tower. And the animation is altered. The theme song is put over a black and white color scheme with a purple tint. The screen is slightly blurrier, and intense vignettes surrounds the screen. Yakko's pants, Flacco's hat, and the trio's noses are the only area in color. And an eerie noise plays throughout the theme song, and Yakko, Wacko, and Dot's fangs are a lot sharper than ever. As the title of this cartoon is a spoof to the 1971 novel Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And as for Wacko entering the hot dog-shaped balloon into a stage, it has number 13 at the right of the entrance. The Warners are dressed up as the Marx Brothers for Halloween, an American family comedy act that was successful in vaudeville, on Broadway and in motion pictures. The Marx Brothers also are a huge influence on the creation of the Warners. Dot spinning her head around while driving Nickel-Wise crazy is a reference to the horror film movie The Exorcist. The segment marks the third time one or more of the Warners have supposedly died, the first being Dot in Wacko's Wish. Paul Rudd's performance of Mr. Clown's song from Clown and Nut is played slowed down twice. The first when Dot points out Wacko's favorite clowns, the second when Nickel-Wise encounters Ralph in the tub. Archival audio pickups are put by Mel Blanc, used for Wacko during the rubber food scene. While much of this segment is a parody of Stephen King's It, taking cues from the 2017 film adaptation in particular. The scene where Wacko's candy falls down the sewer is similar to the scene where Georgie's boat falls down the sewer. Nickel-Wise is a parody of the clown Pennywise. When Nickel-Wise says, "Hiya, Wacky," he references Pennywise's line, "Hiya, Georgie." The scene where Dot encounters Nickel-Wise in the bathroom is similar to the scene where Beverly hears Pennywise's voice in her bathroom. Prior to this episode, elements of Frankenstein were spoofed in the Pinky and the Brain episode Brain Acres. Similarly to this episode, Brain's monster Reach formed a bond with Pinky, albeit a very different one. And, for some reason, there was actually Pigor being a play of words on Igor. After Pinky compliments the castle, Brain said he's employed the top masons. They're schooled in the latest techniques of stonecraft. And this is a nod to English writer Mary Wollstonecraft, who is the mother of Mary Shelley. Pinky had previously endured a heartbreaking relationship with Winnie the Sea Lion in the spin-off episode Operation Sea Lion. Brain also tried to console Pinky there. The title of this cartoon is a spoof on Bride of Frankenstein. One of the weapons the townspeople carry is a spork, the Warner's cameo, and Pigor's sack. According to Genevieve Tsai, the second monster Dr. Brainstein creates bears some physical resemblance to Star Platinum from the anime JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We give those specials rating a perfect 5 out of 5, and they are a 10 out of 10. Next time...
Thank you for watching. What do you think? If you appreciate the content, please be sure to super smash that like button and be sure to subscribe to our channel. And please be sure to follow us on Instagram or my DeviantArt. And don't forget to leave a comment because we really accept kind thoughts. But we here do not allow any trolls or hurtful words or any other terrible meanings necessary allowed. Otherwise, Red Hoek from Comedy Central's The Red and Stimpy Show will hunt you down until the end of Earth. Keep that in mind. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell. You'll never go into miss a video the second it goes live on YouTube and Google. With that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time. Have a nice day!